Hello, podcast listeners, YouTube audience. Today we are here to talk to you about time management. So if you're a procrastinator, shut off the podcast because you're not going to like it. Welcome to Kingdom Speak with Pastor Daniel McKillop. Have you guys seen The Round to It?
I have, and my parents actually have one in their house. It was Grammy Scott's.
My grandmother has one.
Yep.
Or I shouldn't say that. She may not have it anymore, but...
Why'd you take it?
No, I don't know. We need Bill's coaster here to...
Yeah.
Another plug for Bill, but it's a round...
To it.
But it's like this little cross-stitch thing. It's like a little wafer, and it says TUIT on it. And it's for all the times you say, I'll get around to it. Yeah, so there's that.
It's crocheted?
Yep.
I think it's Grammy Scott's was wood.
I was going to say, the one that I've seen is wooden.
Yeah.
My grandmother's was a little, it's almost like a plastic wafer that they crocheted it. Yep. And, yeah.
So
I need a few of those.
What are we talking about today? Because you guys sent me the notes, and I never had a chance to read them.
Yeah.
Well, it has something to do with eating, and it has
Which is good.
Yeah.
and it has something to do with frogs. I'll let you
Which may not be so good.
together.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Have you guys read the reviews on Kingdom Speak? The reviews are in.
We're about to hear.
And people like us. Generally. Not always. 5-star review. And the headline is, Truth. How wonderful it is to have a source of truth in a world where the truth has fallen in the streets as if being subjective. Kingdom Speak declares the sound of pure objective truth. Keep up the great work. Your friend in Pueblo, Colorado, Brother Adam Conder.
Aha. Yes, sir.
Apple
Brother
Podcast.
Conder, God bless you.
Let's say amen.
Thanks for the review.
Can I get an amen? Amen. Can I get a hallelujah?
Hallelujah.
One more, because it's Friday. Great podcast, 5 stars. If you're
Friday.
looking for a podcast that will deepen your understanding of biblical concepts while offering practical solutions to everyday life, wow, that's very good writing. You have found the right place. You will laugh. You will cry. You will be enriched, all while feeling as though you are part of the team and sitting at the table. Well done, guys. That's D.A. Harper.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Kingdom
Can I get an amen? Amen. Can I get a hallelujah?
So, man, that was good. Those reviews are awesome. And they're picking up, actually.
Yeah. They are.
I got to start reading 2 at a time because as it is, there's ones that just fall through the cracks. And we're not even giving any shout outs to all the YouTube comments,
Right.
which are just overloaded sometimes.
Right.
But yeah. So this
Oh, it's
episode
awesome. We
today-
love hearing from folk.
Yes, we do. We do. Send it in. We love it.
You know what's cool is now that I've started traveling again a bit, it is neat meeting people that listen. It's cool. Thanks for coming up and
Yeah, we just
introducing yourself. And
spam the pastor. He particularly loves to talk right before he gets up and preaches. So if it's like 5 minutes pre-service and you see him praying, I would just recommend going up.
And I would.
that's the moment.
Pastor,
Make your move.
Pastor, can I get a photo, please?
Yeah. I would make sure that you invite your friends to join you with that convoy. Make a convoy.
Well, I like that word, convoy.
Load them up.
I've been feeling
Spam
the word
'em.
convoy.
Yes. We are Canadian.
It is a very Canadian word.
Yeah. Problem is we are recording this episode a few weeks out from when it's going to be released.
Yeah.
Lord knows what that word convoy is going to mean.
We
then.
may get banned from YouTube for saying.
Yeah, demonetized.
Yeah. Boy, we don't want that.
And yeah,
Is that what they mean? Is that what it means when you get the demons cast out of you? You're demonetized?
Maybe.
oh, there we
I just had to ask. Anybody who wants demonetized, come up to the front right now.
Yes, come up to the north. They are doing that right now. They're demonetizing. Wow.
Today is interesting. this is a particular interest to me, our discussion that we're going to have today on the topic of productivity.
Yes.
And we're recording this 6 weeks into the new year. And I'm reading a book right now called Blue Zones. And the author makes the case that statistically, that over 80% of New Year's resolutions are off the rails by this time in the calendar year.
Yikes.
So only 1 in 5 people are still following their New Year's resolutions right now.
Interesting. Does he say whether or not they ever get them back? Or
No, he doesn't say.
I wonder what the recovery of that is.
Oh, man.
Once it's slipped your grasp, can you ever strong arm it back?
Well, I can't speak personally because I've never broken a New Year's resolution.
Oh,
You know what? I'll just go right ahead, and it makes
I
it
would
easy
ask
for me because
Beloved producer to.
I just go ahead and copy and paste. It was a list I made in 2016, and I just
no updates required.
I just rechanged the top to 2022,
Yeah.
and it stays the same. And I don't have to think about it that way.
Hey, I guess it's cheaper. You don't have to keep buying new books.
I was going to say, what about your yearly planner? That's neat.
I've got a stack
Same
of
one.
unread books.
Yes.
So if you are a productivity geek or if you are
A
striving,
procrastinating geek.
they already shut the episode off. I told them to.
Yeah, they're gone.
But
gone.
you're going to enjoy this because we're going to, and it's a bit of a book review, I guess, which we don't do that often. We're going to try to do more this year as well. That's on our list of things we need to do this year.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the book is Eat That Frog.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read the book? Brian Tracy.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Still on my list.
Yeah.
Haven't got to it. Haven't got to it yet.
It wasn't even a new book in 2016, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting book. It's kind of built off that Mark Twain, or at least it's ascribed to Mark Twain. He said, "Eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day."
Boy.
So there.
So the premise is stop putting things off.
Right. Right. Yeah, I don't think he was trying to make it a spiritual thing that had nothing to do with Pharaoh's buffet of frogs or anything of that nature.
And we all know at least one person in our lives who is a psychopathic procrastinator, right? Where that's all they can do is procrastinate. It seems like, do you have any of your friends, if they say, yeah, let's go out to eat, meet me there at 7, they're not going to be there at 7.
Yep.
Boys, we
And
can't,
if we're ministering right now,
we cannot talk about this
Yep.
right
we're
now.
ministering right now.
So let me tell you what happened. So last week, I was in Tomball, Texas. It's not going to be last week when you hear this. So whatever.
Some time ago.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to eat frogs around here. So
That's right.
so I was in Tomball, Texas for Deeper Conference with Pastor Barentine, an incredible meeting. So Saturday morning, I mentioned to Bishop Lambeth, who we need to have back on the podcast again. I said, why don't we meet for coffee? Well, he doesn't drink coffee, but he obliged to get together. He said, let's meet at 9 o'clock. So I said, no problem. So at like 8:59, I was not late. I walked in to the lobby of the hotel, and he was sitting there chatting with a couple of guys, and I came in on the tail end of the conversation, and when he concluded the conversation, I said, man, sounds like I missed a good conversation. He said, yeah, because you're late. I went, no, I'm not. Actually, I was 1 minute early. He said, I tell everybody that is in my leadership class and the preachers that he's developing in Brazil that if you're not 10 minutes early,
Hear it.
you're late.
Yeah. Do you remember?
So he said, what time is it? I said, without even missing a beat, it's 10 to 9.
somewhere.
And he about rebuked me in Portuguese right there. Because it was not 10 to 9.
Do you remember the leadership session we had with Elder Johnson? Tommy Johnson?
Tommy Johnson, yes.
And he said, if you're on time, you're late.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I believe, I think Elder Von Morton has said that as well. So.
And you know from traveling that being on time is essential.
Yes.
Most times.
Yes.
And there's something about, I've had to do this once in my life. I've had to run to get to the gate.
Oh, that's a bad feeling.
Oh, man, that is not cool.
Yeah.
That's not cool. There's nothing worse. Well, there is things worse, but something about being late or always just, oh, man, I hope we're there on time, or you're in a car. Who is, I guess you have an episode where, wasn't it you were trying to...
Me.
Where did you have to rush? Was it a cruise?
This isn't in the notes. What are you talking about?
I'm remembering on the fly, somewhere you had to like tear up Jack to make a deadline.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We were going on a cruise.
Right, you and your wife?
Yes.
Yes. So how did that
there
go
had
down?
there had been a death in the church.
Yeah.
One of our saints had passed away. And so we stayed for the funeral and flew out that next morning when we were planning on flying out a few days in advance. And so we were landing at the airport, and we were supposed to have like 3 hours, whatever, buffer between when the ship sails and the plane landed. And so, as is the case, airlines are seldom as punctual as we attempt to be.
No.
And so we landed and just had like, 46 minutes to get in Fort Lauderdale from the airport to the terminal.
Yeah.
And I put a $50 bill on I think it was a $50 bill, maybe a $100 bill, I can't remember, but it was significant. It was more than $20. I put it on the dash of the taxi because we had totally missed. They had a shuttle that would pick you up.
They gone.
They are long gone. And so ran out and got a taxi, and I slapped that on the dash. I said, that's yours if you can get me to the ship before it sails.
Oh.
Brothers and sisters.
He got you there.
He got us there. I don't know if he wanted me there or he just wanted the money, what the deal was, but we made it. Yeah.
Yeah, there are no second
But
chances with them boats.
It took us like 3 days to calm down.
Yes. Your heart rate is still 150 when you're eating your first meal on the boat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I hate being late. Yeah. And there's also nothing worse than, honestly, it's used as an excuse, but when you actually legit forget about an event or something that's important to other people, and when you can use that as an excuse, but there's fewer worse feelings than just forgetting, and then you realize, and you're like, oh, I'm such a buffoon for
right.
Oh man, I don't.
And
like
at
doing
that point, there's some that are amongst us that are busier than others. Don't use that as an excuse.
No, don't say you're too busy.
Yeah, you're not too busy to be on time.
No, you had other priorities.
Yeah. No, if you're still listening right now, we warned you.
Oh man.
So,
and we've all had our share of being
absolutely
stuff. This is going to help you today.
Yeah. So the idea behind Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog book is really, he kind of lays out some principles of how to properly prioritize, list, order the events of your day.
Yep.
And using that analogy, that's really, I guess that's probably what made the book so catching to me, is you take that event that you detest, that you dread, that may be your most difficult, and you put that on the first order of business, and you devour it.
So in an average day, and I know you don't usually have average days, but if you had, say, a normal office day here at Family Worship Center, what is that thing in your office duty that you just dread, besides talking to us? Like, what is it?
That I just dread?
Yeah, like, is it email? Is it voicemail? Is it...
I'm going to say voicemail, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just gotta sit there.
You just gotta
force yourself to listen to everything
and respond
Yeah.
to everything, right?
True, right?
It's I don't want that to come across wrong,
No.
but it's just a matter of it. If I allowed myself, I would do other things first, and that would be stuck at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So are you kind of like a eat dessert first kind of guy, or
that can be the temptation for
Yeah.
sure.
Do all the fun
I know-
stuff first.
I know
You-
that. So
Go
yeah,
ahead.
between me and my wife,
Mhm.
complete opposites. Complete opposites. Like if I've got a list of tasks, I'm going to try. Not saying I'm going to, but I'm going to try to do the hardest task first
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I know Erica's is the complete opposite on that. It's let's do the fun.
Do
and
the fun
hope
stuff.
There's enough time at the end of the day to do the stuff I don't want to do.
And if not, let's tip it over till tomorrow.
Till tomorrow.
Yeah,
Why
we
do
are. There's
today?
always
Yeah.
tomorrow.
There's
Why do
always
today
tomorrow.
what you can do tomorrow?
Yeah.
You know, there's an interesting thing that's not in his, or at least I'm not recollecting that he covers it in there. But I think it's very important that you also figure out what the productive time of the day is for you.
Yes. Yes, I agree. That's huge.
Because there's some people that aren't by nature morning people. Maybe they are late night people that the creative juices begin flowing, and that's their little sweet spot for performance. So that's also something that's an important aspect of this conversation is unpacking that.
Some people, are just going to be up late. That's
Sure.
their style. Other people are first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
So his take on this is definitely eat the ugliest one first.
Mm-hmm.
You devour it. Were any of you guys ACE students?
I was at the beginning of and then I transitioned over to more digital stuff later on. But yeah, I started out in ACE.
I think it was grade 3. Grade 2 was my last of AC.
Hey, any ACE students out there, give us a shout out. But I'm an ACE.
Podge, are you listening?
Yes.
Pudge AC.
Wags, Christy.
Boys.
Yeah.
Love you, Pudge.
Man, we loved their ACE cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of the approach of developing a goal-setting environment was introduced to me through ACE. And that was their approach as well, is you tackle your most difficult subject first.
Yep.
So for me, that was math. I didn't want to be working math at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were days that I was, but it wasn't because I delayed. It was because from 8:30 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon,
Ugh.
I was still working on my math.
Yeah.
But if we're not careful, I know for me personally, the concept and idea of goal setting
Mm-hmm.
is lost once we get out of the structure of a school, of a day-to-day.
Yep.
We almost chuck that to the side when the reality is goal setting, running a list is kind of front and center to leading a productive life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's two ways to look at this for me. I like the idea. Now, if you're not in an office job, then it's a little more, it's probably a bit challenging to sit down every morning and write out your day's goals. But you should at least have a weekly set of, if it's on your phone, whatever, a list of things that need to be done. Like if you think of something to do, I know it sounds real basic, but you should write it down.
Yeah.
Then things you would like to do.
Okay, so let's.
Right?
You're getting ahead in some
I'm
of
sorry.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the statements that he made in there is don't do drugs, do lists.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Really key.
There is something about the mental approach of getting yourself mentally prepared
Yep.
for a day, or as you've already mentioned, even if you zoom out to a yearly
Yep.
approach.
Weekly, monthly.
This year, I want to XYZ.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if it's like eat 13 Big Macs, that you probably will be able to get that done without listing it. Right?
Yeah.
But there's something about committing it to paper.
Well, you're defining it. He
Right.
says, defining your goal.
Right. Okay. So in order to get it accomplished, and there's 3 things that I wanted to mention here. He says there's 3 D's of new habit formation. 3 of them. First, make a decision to develop the habit of task completion.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're gonna make a habit of doing lists, the 3 D's are make a decision to develop the habit of task completion. Second, discipline yourself to practice the principles you are about to learn in this book over and over and over and over and over again until they become automatic. Okay? And thirdly, back everything you do with determination until the habit is locked in and becomes a permanent part of your personality.
Yeah.
Decisions, disciplines, and determination.
Yeah.
And you can form that habit of list making that you just mentioned. Yeah. Now, there's significance to transferring something from a thought to paper.
Yep.
That's something you guys do.
Yep.
I see you running with your
Physical,
with your notebook.
physical paper.
Yeah, that step has been life-changing in the office world for me, for sure. Where I fall off is I've got great record of what I didn't get done. It's like step 2 to 3.
Yeah,
I can show you everything I didn't get done.
But that's what I was going to say. The 2 things are when you define it and you put it down. I love the idea of having it down as okay, this is what's coming up. But do you guys nudge stuff ahead when you don't get it done?
I don't want to.
Like,
I'm not as consistent at doing that as I should be.
bullet journaling is really big into that.
Yep.
You know, even if you say, okay, I'm not going to have time to do this today, I bump it ahead till tomorrow. But I still like to know that I didn't get something done.
And the interesting thing about bullet journaling in that concept is after you've bumped something ahead for like 6 weeks, then you make a decision. It's obviously not worth doing.
That's right. And you're tired of writing it down. That's
Right.
back to what you just said about paper, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So then you thin out the herd,
Yeah.
so to speak, and
Let's
you
be
stay
honest.
focused.
We're not going to do this. So why do I keep writing it down?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Here's an interesting stat. Only about 3% of adults have clear written goals.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that.
Wow.
I remember this has nothing to do with even spiritual development. And I don't remember who it was, but there was a golfer a few years ago who won. I don't even know what he won, but he won a very significant tournament. And he made shockwaves in the internet world because he showed reporters in his press conference after the winning tournament, he showed them a note on his iPhone, and he had written down what he had wanted to do that year, and on the bottom of the list was win the tournament. And everybody was like, oh, so you actually worked for this.
Wow.
It didn't just happen, right?
Right.
But yeah, you really do have to commit.
Right.
It's an interesting exercise to say, okay, what do you want to do this year? Besides just get up and go to work every day. And
besides survive, live, and go on vacation, what do you want to accomplish? Okay, although this is very practical, this is also a biblical concept.
Yes.
For sure it is.
Of transferring something from the ether of mental, maybe even imaginative, that region, to committing it to paper. Okay? Read Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter and the 2nd verse.
And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision.
Write
There it is.
the vision.
And engrave it so plainly upon tablets.
This is the Amplified, by the
that
way.
everyone who passes may be able to read it easily and quickly as he hastens by.
Now don't let that be lost on you that you can't just have a vision. You can have a vision. What do I want Family Worship Center to accomplish? We've had this discussion about Kingdom Speak. What's our vision for this? But the reality is while I'm flying back from wherever I'm flying and I'm meditating on it and I'm thinking about it and And, the potential is there that we could do this and this and this and this. At some point, in order for that to leave the regions of just being a creative idea, thought, or dream, I have to write it. I have to write it. I have to write it clearly and articulately. And there's something about, at least for me, bringing something from the regions of my ideas and my dreaming into the realm of transmitting it so that others can read it and understand it and buy in.
For sure.
And that's what Habakkuk is saying. You can't just have a vision.
Yep.
But you got to write it. It's got to be plainly engraved so that those who hasten by can grab it and understand it.
Oh, definitely.
That is pretty massive.
Yeah.
So I think there's three things here that help keep a dream from just being a dream. A dream can just forever just fizzle and over here if you want that to become a goal, specific things have to happen for a dream to become a reality.
Yes, definitely right.
So I think the first step is think on paper. You have to commit it to paper.
Yeah.
Is there something you just want to chime in there? Go ahead.
Something that just come to my mind is something that you showed me. It's been a few years ago, but how you commit ideas to paper as a pastor.
Right.
When you may feel, or something's made a little more clear as you're reading, don't matter where you are. If you're driving, if you're in the airport, if something comes to you, you always said, commit that idea to paper.
Right.
And I believe you showed me your Evernote,
where
it was detailed. You would tag it. You would, well, that comes in handy, I believe, when it comes to preparing a message.
Totally. Right now, just for fodder, I have a thoughts notebook on Evernote, and I have 978 different notes containing thoughts, ideas, something that stuck out to me from, it'll take me a while to scroll back here, just a minute, I started, the oldest one is October the 17th, 2010.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So we're 2010 to 2022. So we're 12 years worth of thoughts that many of them may never be preached.
I was going to ask you that. Have you preached them all?
Oh, no. When I preach them, I take them out.
That's right.
Yeah. These are...
And good luck trying to remember something that you thought in 2011 unless you write it down.
And write it clearly.
Right.
If you just would have jotted down Isaiah 12:2, God said this.
Or just Isaiah 12:2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's just pull one and see. Commanded by the cloud. That's the name of the thought, the note.
Boy, we're on the spot.
Yeah. Elijah sent the boy out to check the skies for a sign of rain. The messenger came back with a sign of a cloud, about the size of a man's hand. The messenger was only focused and motivated by being obedient. He came back and forth 7 times. But to the prophet, who was a man acquainted and motivated by the glory of God, a cloud the size of a man's hand was enough. From that moment, he began to pursue. He was commanded by the cloud. We journey from glory to glory. The glory cloud came down so strong in 1 Kings that even the priest couldn't minister. There.
So you just write something down and move on, right?
So that's what it is. But that was written on the 17th of October in 2010. Can you tell me what you were doing on 17th of October 2010?
That's the point, right? Yeah.
Okay. So think on paper. And here's an interesting point. It can be a digital format.
Sure.
Think clearly. Then there's another aspect of it that is unique from just categorizing thoughts in relationship to what we've just been talking about. But it's give it a deadline. So don't Don't just, when you give something a deadline, you are effectively moving it from the nether regions of a dream to a goal. Yep. So a dream is, I want to learn French. A goal is, I want to learn French by January 2023. Now, all of a sudden, that begins affecting what you do today, rather than just arbitrarily dreaming about accomplishing something. The deadline makes the dream a goal that starts governing your day-to-day existence.
For sure.
That's a big part of it. Write the vision. Make it plain. The 7 steps, and this is part of the Eat That Frog book. 7 steps to setting and achieving goals. Why don't you go ahead and run through them?
Number 1, decide exactly what you want. What is your goal?
Yeah.
So that comes back to what we were talking about, right? Defining it.
Yep.
Number 2, right?
Hey, can I just throw this in? Deciding what you want. So I had a kind of a life highlight a few weeks ago. I was able to hear Jordan Peterson in person. And he made a statement while he was opening up his speech that night. He started talking about what's behind action. What drives action? And so he says the impetus behind action is the desire to be somewhere that you're not.
All right.
Cool.
Okay?
Yep.
So he used this as an example. He said, I'm standing on this side of the stage. I want to be on the other side of the stage. So psychologically, although we don't break it down this way, he said, I have already categorically made some decisions in my own psychological assessment that being on the other side of the stage is worth more than being where I'm at.
That's right. Yep.
Now, we don't break it down that way, but that's literally what has transpired.
Oh, definitely.
Where I am is not worth as much as where I want to go. And so the result of that is that I start acting to get from where I am to where I want to go. And that's where I start going, okay, what's the way to get there? And that's how you find the way. And at that point, anything that comes between you and where you want to go is associated with negative thoughts, negative feelings, and you measure progress towards that goal as positive.
Right. That's right.
And that's where action is birthed.
He seems pretty smart.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. And that's what this is saying.
Yep.
Decide what you want to be.
Yep.
Decide what the goal is. And then?
Number 2, write it down. Think on paper. It's pretty clear. Number 3, this is where it gets interesting. Set a deadline on your goal.
Yep.
Set sub-deadlines if necessary.
Yep.
If you do not do this, you will naturally fall into procrastination.
Ouch.
He has an interesting thing about procrastination. I was just reading a summary of his, because I didn't remember any of this, but he says that sometimes you need to procrastinate intentionally. He used an example of his boss would never reply to emails that staff were asking questions that they could easily find out another way. He would not waste his time answering those questions.
Interesting.
Because
that was handicapping them.
It's handicapping them, and it's not a good use of his time.
Okay, here's an interesting one from a spiritual leadership perspective. I believe my dad credits Pastor Tommy Kraft with this, but telling him that when you're dealing with conflict, that you never handle metal when it's hot.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Give it time.
Procrastinate.
Yep. So be selective with that.
Wow.
Yep.
And tell them, no, we'll get together this weekend, or let's chat about that next week. Oh, no, it's the end of the world. Everything's falling apart.
The iron's hot.
No, it's going to be all right. You'll make it. And let's meet after things have cooled down a bit.
So, Pastor McKillop, I sent you an email yesterday. And
You sent me more than one, actually.
I did, and I got no responses.
Yeah.
What does this mean, guys?
Well, we will leave that for you to decide. The audience will draw a conclusion.
I was waiting for Erica's input.
Number 4, make a list of everything that you can think of that you will need to achieve your goal.
That's good.
That's very good.
That is very good. Yep.
Number 5, organize your list into a plan. Organize your list by priority and sequence.
That hence is the frog thing.
Yeah. Take a few minutes to decide what you need to do first
Yes.
and what you can do later.
Wow.
Lay out your plan.
Piece of cake, guys. Steps 1 through 5. Piece of cake.
Got this, right?
Brace up. Here we go.
I do not want to talk about number 6.
Brace
Number
up.
6, take action on your plan immediately.
Think about that. Sila.
Selah.
Yeah, and number
Immediately.
7 only backs up number 6 with a good sucker punch.
Yeah. Resolve to do something every single day that moves you toward
Yeah,
your
that's good.
major goal.
Yes.
Begin building your daily schedule around accomplishing this
Do you
goal.
keep your daily schedule
Schedule.
in an envelope?
We got Eugene
Or an
Nelson over
envelope.
here.
It's an envelope. And it's a garage. It's not a garage.
It's a garage.
Is it
It's a
Schuler?
garage.
Is it Schuler or Schuyler?
It's a Skylar Bible.
It's a Schuler.
I just throw that out there.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Wow.
Let's pause the podcast for an important announcement.
Yes.
This is breaking news. Pastor McKillop, take it away.
Have you guys ever? You're part of. We've all been first responders.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you ever get the call that there's a man down, that's never a good thing, is it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Man down is a problem. Well, we got good news. April the 1st and the 2nd is the cure for every man that's down.
Woo!
Hear
And
it.
it-
Hear
It's
it. If you
time
are
to get
down,
up.
you need to listen.
Time
Oh,
to get
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Man Up Conference is being hosted by Christian Life Memphis. Pastor Caleb Adams.
An official kingdom speaker.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. April the 1st and the 2nd. That's a Friday night and a Saturday morning. There's going to be sessions both Friday night and Saturday. Speakers, Zach Wells, Tim Adams, Ryan Hernandez. And on Saturday, a special Q&A that Pastor Caleb Adams will be participating in.
Man, that sounds like a lot of fun.
That does sound like fun.
Let's
You
go to
need to
Memphis.
go check it out.
Let's go. What are
Let's
tickets?
go to Memphis.
We even have the themes.
Yeah, so themes. Here we go. A man and his God.
Wow.
That's on Friday night. A man and his business. That's a Saturday session. And the
Nice.
third one is a man and his mission.
That is awesome.
Saturday as well.
You're going to want to be there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brother Caleb Adams
Wow.
is an excellent man.
Yes. That will be a great event. If you want to check them out on social media, they have launched a social media account.
Yeah.
Thank you. manup.memphis.
Yeah. that's
So, hey,
awesome.
go check them out. And if you're in the area or if you have to travel to get there, don't miss it.
Get yourself there.
Don't be a man down, be a man up.
That's right.
Amen to that. That was good.
Yes.
Hey, before we jump back into talking about procrastinators, this is a good time to remind you that you need to subscribe to Kingdom Speak. I would like
are
to
you
know,
procrastinating?
why are you putting this off?
You wrote it down.
If you haven't, write it down.
Yes. Think clearly.
Make a list of everything that you can think of that you need to achieve this goal, which would be picking up your phone,
Yes.
using your thumb.
279 reviews. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
But we got a bigger audience than that.
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah.
Slightly
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, yeah,
So
we
put a
need to-
deadline on it.
Yeah, so
that would be another good idea.
by tomorrow,
Yes.
and then we would ask you that you take action on your plan immediately. So just do it today.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. KingdomSpeak.ca. Hit up our website, be a Kingdom Speaker, all that. You know the drill. But most importantly, subscribe.
Any update on our merch? Oh.
Oh, I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to say it. By the time this
I was
episode
going to
is
say
out,
by the time it'll be done. I finally
It's
got the
done.
stuff from our co-host.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we are able to move on.
zingers
Man, there
are flying.
shots all
Yeah.
over this.
Shots fired.
I only had to wait for like a month.
Yeah. I've been dreaming of the day we'd have merch. I hope it's going to be a goal we accomplish at some point.
Yes.
So this gets back in, Mr. Co-host, to where you were trying to lead us in the whole list
Yeah. Yeah.
making.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of lists.
So here's some interesting stuff. It's a proven fact that every minute that you spend in planning saves as many as 10 minutes in execution.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes between 10 to 12 minutes for you to plan out your day.
Mm-hmm.
But this small investment can save up to 2 hours of wasted time.
Yep. You know when I like to do this? The last thing of my day, I like to write down my next day.
Okay?
Even if it's broken down into morning and afternoon.
Yep.
A little tip for you, man. If you're working in an office, or if you're not, again, there's other ways to do this if you're not. But if you were to sit down on a Friday or a Saturday with a cup of coffee and say, all right, what am I going to do next week? And just think about each day. I think it's a good place to start, and just formalize and plan. Because like I said at the start of the show, we all know people who don't do that.
Right. There's a statement, and I'm not pulling it, but this may trigger it, and you've probably heard it. But the things that require the most attention are not always the most important.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not getting that statement
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like this: the squeaking wheel is not always the most important thing.
That's right.
But what happens is if you don't have a plan,
Mm-hmm.
then you become guilty of just dealing with the annoying elements of your organization, of your day-to-day responsibilities, and you never really dive into the most important things that make your organization tick. And that can be a problem.
Absolutely.
That can really be a problem.
So we need to make a list.
So make a list. You can increase your productivity and output by 25% or more from the first day that you begin working consistently from a list.
Wow. This is the antidote to the person, or if you say it, who says I don't have time. This fixes that.
Yeah. Look, you probably do have more money than me, and you may have more stuff than me.
We
But
all know the
there's-
co-host has more money than
Oh,
us.
Yes.
Trust me.
Yes.
Trust me.
It's just
Believe. One man said, believe me.
One
He has
man
the
said-
Sisson Ridge penthouse
Believe me.
looking down over the valley.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you don't have is more time than me.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely right.
That is right.
So, speaking of time, that's kind of the great equalizer.
Yeah. You see some people who say they read 30 books in a year, and you're like, whoa.
Well, yeah, you can say that the president of the United States, I think it was George Bush, that while he was president was reading something in the vicinity of 30 books. Well, if anybody has a scheduled existence, it would be him.
Yep. Or you have a guy who does a triathlon, but yeah, he's a full-time employee of somewhere. It's like,
Right.
how does that guy do it? Well, guess what? He probably gets up at 5 a.m. and runs for an hour while you're still sleeping for another hour, right?
Right.
There's ways to do it.
5 a.m. club.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to read my Bible. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time. Really needs to be deleted out of your vocabulary,
They don't
because
say
the
that.
expression of I don't have time
Not true.
is a false statement.
It is. Yes.
It is a reflection on the lack of your ability to steward.
We would never call you a liar.
You would just
No, you would call yourself one.
We just have a lot of other things we could call you.
Yeah.
Right?
But man, it's so true. Don't be the
Right.
guy that says, I don't have time. You're better off with me. If I've asked somebody to do something, don't say, man, I don't have time. Just say, look, I got busy doing other things and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
It feels better.
And
to
that
me.
can happen.
It feels better to me.
I had to say that the other day. You know, it wasn't so much a timing thing, but because of oversight on my part, I had double booked an event over top of someone else's event.
Yeah.
And it was because I didn't take the time
Yeah.
to look at my schedule and make sure that I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Own it.
Yeah.
This is not about perfection.
No.
But as long as you live in the region of trying to self-justify the lack of your performance by the fact that somehow you just don't have as much time as everybody else, you will never get out of that rut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's a zinger for you.
Okay.
Somebody says, "I don't have time." Just come back at them and say, "Are you on social media?"
Oh, definitely.
Yep. Have you been on it in the last month?
Yeah.
Well, then you have time.
Yeah.
It is
Oh man,
incredible how fast time can sift through your fingers.
Insane.
And you can turn around and say, I didn't have
Yes.
time.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
But there's nothing more rewarding than incrementally planning and doing something and getting it done.
Right.
Oh, and if you've never done that, you
And
really
you know
need
what?
to try it.
I'm being real honest with you. I've thoroughly enjoyed traveling and meeting some of our audience. Okay. They're amazing people.
Yeah.
Disciplined people. You can tell by talking to them.
Well, podcasters,
Yeah.
if you listen to podcasts, generally you're in the productive genre of people.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not an impulsive, I heard one of your episodes. I know who you are, but they're with us week after week, and it's part of their weekly discipline.
For
Okay.
sure.
And number one, we appreciate that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But number two, the potential that is in the group of folks that listen to us. Let's
Yeah,
just speak to
that's
that
right.
just for a moment.
Let's do it.
The potential that is there, the dreams that each of you have, that if I could sit across the table literally from each of you and say, what would you like to accomplish in your life between now and the end? Everything. Would it be, I would like to write a book? Would it be, I'd like to release a music album? I would like to start a business. I would like to be a life coach. I would like to own real estate. I want a ministry. What is it? What are the things? I want to travel.
Yep.
I want to be married, depending on how far down we go. What is it that you want? Here we are in your wheelhouse, Mr. Co-host. You put that on a master list.
Exactly right. Define it.
And we want to be that impetus right now for our audience.
Yep.
Okay?
Exactly right.
We want to be the one that says, right now, take out your pen and piece of paper and go, life goals, this is what I want to be.
Right.
I want to start a podcast. I want to be a radio show host. I want to start a coffee business, clothing business, car sales. Whatever it is. Write that thing down on the master list of life.
That's right. Sounds dumb, doesn't it? But it's not.
No, it's not.
It's very key.
And then you derive from that master list, and this is where you were going 20 minutes ago,
Yep.
and you make a monthly list,
Yep.
and you make a weekly list,
Yep.
and you make a daily list. There is something about bringing that down. What is standing between me and achieving what I've written on that master list?
Let me ask you this real quick. How far out do you plan? So just forget about church, but you as a minister and travel and family events, and what would you say? You're at least probably 6 months out thinking about
I
stuff?
try to be,
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
But then there's different things like particular projects. We're in a building program. Well,
For sure, yeah.
we're talking
That's
we're
years.
6 years out
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah. But personally, you're at least 6 months out there,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
You're already considering, okay, what's the plan for Christmas? Am I going to be here? Am I
Right.
going to be gone?
right.
Like-
I literally was talking about November last night,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of things that I've got to try to fit in for the year, and it looks like November is going to kind of be the sweet spot.
Yeah. But that just, to me, when I do this kind of thing, and I'm not that far out, I'm like probably 3 months out with stuff that I do, but it feels like it's a map to me. And whenever you plan, it's putting more clarity. I'm just the kind of person that likes to know what's happening. Now, there are people who are spur of the moment kind of people who just, right?
But
I
think even those spur of the moment people, which I could kind of fit somewhat in that category myself, I think we do ourselves an injustice by not okay, let me say it this way. I can be an impulsive personality, sporadic, but that does not mean that I don't have life goals.
Exactly.
For sure.
Think of it. We just did a trip in October, producer Randy. We do actually get along, believe it or not. We did a trip with our wives.
Yep. Good trip.
And we did, I would say we spent more time planning for the trip than we spent on the trip.
For sure.
You know, let me jump in and say this. I think people that don't plan ahead miss a big part of the event because anticipation is almost as much as the enjoyment of the event.
We found so many cool places
for sure
in the planning stage.
The biggest one is the show.
Yeah.
If there wouldn't have been no planning, there was only 4 seats left in the place.
Yeah. We literally got in on an orchestra show in Paris that we were on a waiting list. You know, just stuff like that where the other thing I want to say, and I'm done gabbing about it, but it was an awesome trip. And nonetheless, we would have never been able to do what we did unless we planned.
Right.
If we would have just landed and jumped off the plane and said, okay, hey, we're in Paris. Let's have a good time.
Yep.
Not good enough. You better know what
there's definitely things that you would have missed out on, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Because you want to stack that with as many events throughout that 7 days or whatever you were there, right?
Yeah.
You want to maximize it.
Very effective.
This even applies to finances.
Oh, for sure.
That's a whole podcast.
That's a whole, we want to go into it, but you've got to plan that stuff, right?
For sure.
I just can't run around swiping my credit card.
Well.
Yeah. Okay, there are 2 rules that he mentions in the book that are pretty neat. There's a 10-90 rule and an 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
The 10-90 rule is this. The first 10% of time that you spend planning and organizing your work before you begin will save you as much as 90% of the time getting the job done. 10% of planning can save 90% of the time. Then the 80-20 rule, which is really interesting to me, 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. 20% of your customers account for 80% of your revenue. 20% of your tasks account for 80% of the value of what you do.
Yeah.
Okay? So off of that master list of 8 or 10 things that are life goals with you, 20% of them is really what you're going to focus on.
And that's a derivative of the Pareto principle, right? Which is 80% of consequences come from 20% of causes.
That's good.
Right? It's time management. That's people problems, right? Generally, 80% of the problems that you encounter come from 20%. Complaints in a business.
Yep.
But also good news stories, right? Very cool stuff.
Let's and we're wrapping up here because we know that you're going to be busy going and writing your list. Long-term thinking improves short-term decision making.
That's also very
Successful people have a clear future orientation.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely.
Jesus had this, man, who for the joy that was set before him.
Yes.
If you can't see past the cross that you're carrying right now, it's hard to keep carrying the cross right now. But you have to understand that there is a future orientation that is compelling you, moving you along the way. Long-term thinking improves short-term decision-making. Another rule, future intent influences and often determines present actions.
Oh, that's the truth. That's the truth. That's what sacrifice is.
You've made it, and we don't have time to go through this. But social media has become the greatest consumer of some of our most quality time.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So if you're listening to us today and there's a podcast in you. There's a book in you. There's a musical album in you. There's a preacher in you. There's then please write the list. Get after it. Get after it. Set a goal. Put a deadline on it, and make it happen.
Let's hit them with some numbers.
Okay, we're going to close out with this.
Oh, this might encourage you and it might discourage you. We don't know yet.
Let's go. I like this kind of stuff.
The power of 1 hour. Dutch Sheets, who wrote a book that greatly impacted me, he wrote a book entitled Second in Command. Fascinating book on being an assistant, more specifically an assistant pastor. This was a chart that he came up with, and man, it's incredible. So the power of an hour. If you pray, he's got it broken down into prayer, Bible reading, writing, reading, and exercising. If you pray for 30 minutes a day, in 3 years' time, that is the equivalent of 3.5 months of a 40-hour work week of prayer. Oof. Over a lifespan of 25 years, that is 2.25 years of 40-hour work weeks of prayer.
Man, that's a lot.
Just based on 30 minutes a day. Reading your Bible 20 minutes a day. Over 3 years, you will read the Old Testament 3 times, the New Testament 6 times, and Psalms and Proverbs 6 times. Over a 25-year window, reading just 20 minutes a day, you read the Old Testament 25 times, the New Testament 50 times, Psalms and Proverbs 50 times. Is that crazy?
It's a lot of book. You're right.
Writing. So you're going to be a writer. You're going to have a blog. You're going to whatever. 15 minutes a day in 3 years is 1 book published. Just by writing 15 minutes a day. 25 years, 8 books published. Reading 15 minutes a day, 22 books read in 3 years. 182 books read in 25 years. Exercising 15 minutes a day. That's 3 years. It's 273 hours of exercise, or 2,281 hours over 25 years.
I got to go, boys. I got stuff to do.
Yes.
I hope you guys enjoyed this today. This has been, man, it's great. And no matter where you are in the spectrum of time management, I don't think you can talk about it enough.
No.
Yeah.
Just when you think you're a good time manager, you read about someone else and it's a challenge. Just take it as a challenge today, right?
Right. Don't let the ticking of the clock rob us of what God has put in you. But go after it. Make a list. Write the vision. Make it plain. Give it a deadline, and then give it to us.